We just have to get to this because this is unbelievable what's going on. You know who is he's at the Supreme Court as we speak, making his case for signing an executive order that ends birthright citizenship in America. Now, here's what he had to say about it yesterday. Take a look.
The Supreme Court tomorrow is going to hear arguments about your executive order trying to get rid of birthright citizenship.
And I'm going.
You're going to go to the Supreme Court
I think
tomorrow?
so. I do believe.
And just sit there and listen.
Because I have listened to this argument for so long, and this is not about Chinese billionaires who are billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case or 10 children becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you take a look, slaves, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War.
Yeah. That he's talking about the law, why this law came into effect, okay? It was to make sure that the children of slaves who had been brought here, their children could be citizens as soon as they were born here. That's what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. But the way he puts it is, as he puts many things, not really clear. And this is the first time a sitting president has ever been at the Supreme Court during oral arguments. Yeah. So my question is, why are you there? I think this is all to add to chaos because he wrote that executive order. Everybody pushed back on it and said, you can't do that. That will dismantle so much other stuff. So is it just to keep the chaos going, to keep us from talking about the Epstein files?
I was gonna say, look.
From talking about all the other stuff that we keep bringing up?
When he mentioned child slaves, I was like, oh, is he talking about the Epstein files, which he's mentioned in, and over 500,000 of them, and there's still 2 million that need to come out. Also, he's going to a hearing, Epstein hearing. He's gonna have to, show up at that one. Look, to me, the first thing that I thought is instead of focusing on these, children that might be born in America, how about the children who are already born here that you're sending to a senseless war? Let's maybe spend some time and energy on that. Also, I was just in London. My brother lives there, and my nieces and nephew. And every time I got in a cab, the cab drivers went, "Can you tell your friends in America to stop coming over here pregnant and having babies here, because it is officially cheaper to fly to London, give birth in a hospital there, and then fly back than it is to give birth in America. So how about focus on making it so that women can give birth here and not go broke?"
I didn't know that. I mean, I will say he is the first president in U.S. history to sit in the Supreme Court. And that's for a reason, because we do have the separation of branches. We have the three executive, we have the three branches of government. And the executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch. And so the Supreme Court really is the head of the judicial branch, and the head of the executive branch should not be sitting in the Supreme Court. And I think that's why this is the first time it's ever happened. But to the point of this birthright citizenship order, it is clearly unconstitutional. Many, many courts have found it to be unconstitutional, and they're really relying on the wrong legal theory. He is saying people that are here either undocumented or come here that aren't citizens, their children's status depends on the parent. That is not what the 14th Amendment says. The 14th Amendment makes it very clear. It's not about the parent's status. It's about the status of the child that was born on American soil. That is really the crux of this legal argument. And it's shocking to me that it's gotten this far. I've been listening to, I've been looking at the transcripts because the argument is going on right now. And I'm happy to report that it sounds like Chief Justice Roberts and Gorsuch are not really on board with this. They're saying things like, that's a quirky argument. When you hear Chief Justice Roberts say that you're relying on a quirky argument based on Roman law, you're in trouble. So I don't know that anything's going to happen.
Well,
but
that's why I said I think it's just to add to the chaos.
It seems to be that way. And the one last thing to put a pin on it, a lot of the arguments in the briefs are arguments based in the replacement theory,
Yeah.
the white replacement theory. And I think that's really sad that that is before the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And that President Trump wants to have a front row seat to his racist theory. I just think
You know, I have
that's
to
really
say, I
something.
think you're being unfair to President Trump.
Why is that, Joy?
April Fool! Okay. The thing I noticed is that whenever they talk about this, they're always talking about people from Asia. By the way, how many Chinese people have 75 babies?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
It was a one
No,
baby
I'm not
rule
going to say.
for a
I'm not
long
going
time
to
in
say.
China.
Look, I'm stopping. I'm stopping myself. I'm stopping
He's
myself.
as good at math as he is at English.
Well, and
but also, when they mention this whole topic, they're never talking about anchor babies from Canada or Australia or Norway. You notice that? There's like this underlying, they're from Mexico, they're from...
Well, yeah, there's an underlying
It's
racism.
all about that.
Go ahead.
Well, you were saying, your original question was, why do you think he's going there? Because it's never been done historically. He clearly doesn't understand the difference between the judicial branch and the legislative branch, because he can show up in Congress and be a point of intimidation, and people will bend the knee and change their take on a turn. Lawyers in the judicial system, judges, they have written laws. So the reason he keeps getting no at every lower court is they're all looking at the same thing. That's why they keep saying it's unconstitutional. So it's gotten all the way to the Supreme Court. He feels showing up there could change their answers. But he doesn't get that, like, I was listening to the oral arguments as well, and as you're listening to them all talk, it didn't matter who appointed them, where they came from. They're all looking at the Constitution, and they're not coming to the place he wants them to get to.
No.
Yeah.
So I feel.
Do you think it feels like it was an intimidation tactic? Because I don't want to say that without, you know.
Too late.
Well, that's the only. That's the only thing
Yeah.
that would make sense. If he's not going to a golf course, he decided to go sit and watch
it
the
does
Supreme
feel
Court.
that way because
it's an intimidation.
If you look
tactic.
at the law, there hasn't been a case since 1868 that has said that this birthright citizenship depends on the parentage. It's
But aren't his wives all
black letter
foreigners?
law.
That's another thing. What was that? 2 out of 3 of his
I
wives
mean,
are
look,
foreigners.
this guy will do anything except get a dog. First president to not have a dog.
Yeah.
Putin has a dog.
Well, because he's afraid Christy Nome will shoot it.
Oh, stop.